All right, I want to start off with a little announcement. If you're watching these videos from, I think they come up on thestreet.com and Real Money because I contribute over there, and I think on my Twitter feed over there you might be able to. I think they link to these videos. If you are watching these videos, I'm going to make an announcement. If you send me an email from an article I wrote on thestreet.com or Real Money, and if you want me to reply, you got to put your email address in there. Otherwise, I just get it as no reply at thestreet.com. Most people do that. Some people don't. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to reply. I've gotten some nice emails, in the past. People saying, Mike, really appreciate what you write here. It's so refreshing. You've helped me understand things. Thank you very much. But then I get stuff like I got today, where people sometimes they send me an email and they try to school me. You can't school me. I know all this stuff. I know everything. You cannot school me. So a guy sent me an email today saying, Mr. Norman, because, by the way, just as some background, yesterday I put up an article about how I think eventually one day we are going to go full grease here in the United States because there is so much misinformation and ignorance surrounding the debt ceiling. That we will eventually, go into some kind of full-blown austerity on the belief that we ran out of money, which would be a shame and a disaster, okay? But I really think that's coming, and I think I'm going to be correct in that, just like I was correct when I predicted years ago that the stupid idiot morons at the credit rating agencies would downgrade the United States credit rating. They do not understand sovereign money. They do not understand the distinction between a currency issuer and a currency user. But anyway, I digress. I don't want to get off track. So I wrote that article, and the guy sends me an email, and basically I don't know what this has to do with my article, but he said, Mr. Norman, don't you understand? It's the Treasury that sells Treasury securities, not the Fed. Yeah, sir, I understand. I've spent years and years and years educating people on this, okay? The sale of treasuries is done by the Treasury. It's basically a reserve maintenance operation. And sometimes the Fed could get into the act. I mean, the Fed did buy over $2 trillion in treasuries over the last 8 years. Sometimes they sell too. But for the most part, it's the Treasury, and it's a reserve maintenance operation, and the Treasury and the Fed work together in tandem to manipulate the level of reserves to, whatever they want. And basically, the reserve drain was done to keep the rate to have a positive rate, because if you don't do a reserve drain, then the reserves just pile up. That government spending just causes reserves to pile up in the banking system, and rates go to zero. And actually, the natural rate of interest is zero. It's not positive. It's zero. So they used to, they've drained reserves in the past to keep the rate positive. But now the Fed just pays interest on reserves directly. So you don't really even have to drain reserves anymore, because no bank is going to lend under the rate that it can get from the Fed. So the rate is positive because why? The Fed says it's positive, and it pays a positive rate. So, sir, I get all that, all right? But then this guy goes on to say, and here's the thing. Let me just say that a lot of you who have come over to me and really started to learn, and I talked about this in an earlier video, how some of you are really, really quick and really smart, and you're really picking up on this stuff, and I'm very proud of you. But I know that you're also experiencing now the same sort of frustration that I've experienced for years when you go out and you talk to people and you encounter the massive, just massive amounts of ignorance out there with respect to, the debt and all this stuff. I know that because you're telling me that. Welcome to the club. So this guy says, I find it so irresponsible, Mr. Norman, that you could talk about this mountain of 20 trillion of debt piling up. And I've done videos about this before. We have no debt, okay? It's not what we owe, it's what we own. All of us, the non-government, that 20 trillion, it's what we own. It's part of our net worth. It's part of our assets. Okay, that's 20 trillion. What is that 20 trillion anyway? That's the sum total of all the dollars created by government spending since, the very beginning of the United States, 1789, minus all the dollars that have been removed by taxation. So 20 trillion over these, 200 some odd years have piled up in the banking system. They represent, part of the savings and the wealth of the financial wealth anyway, of the non-government here and throughout the world. And those dollars are just held in the form of a treasury. I talked about this. A treasury is like a savings account at your bank. So you got paid, the money went in your checking account, and now you're holding it in your savings account to get some interest. So when you want you want it back in your checking account, you just tell your bank to put it back in your checking account. So when the government has to, pay you back or pay the debt, it just tells the Fed, take back the treasury and credit the account with reserves, cash. That's it. Now, is there a debt, really? Well, you could say the government has a 20 trillion debt, but what is that debt? The debt is written right on a dollar bill. If you take a dollar bill, it says, that the most important part of that dollar bill is where it says, this debt is legal tender, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. But it's really it's the public part that's important. Basically what that means is that the government will accept its own currency for payment of tax liabilities. That's something it can always fulfill. That's a debt that it could never have a problem, not meeting. It also could never have a problem taking back the treasury and crediting a bank account with the reserves. So there is no debt. There is no debt. Everything was paid for, and everybody got paid, and they're just holding the money in treasuries. And as a matter of fact, we want that debt to build up. Okay, sir? So when you say the 20 trillion mountain, I hope it goes to a 40 trillion mountain, because that would mean another 20 trillion in financial assets that the non-government would own. Okay, not own. So get it right. Come on, people. Start to think about this, really. Don't send me stupid, idiotic emails when you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Why did this never blow up into the catastrophe? Because it's what we own. It's part of our asset. You want to know what would be a catastrophe? Eliminate the so-called debt. That would entail taking away 20 trillion in assets from the non-government, from us. And if you think that's a good thing, and frankly, I don't care when that happens, because I'm going to make a freaking fortune when that happens. And all the money's going to come from you idiots who think that's a good thing. And I cannot wait. Because I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank, as they say. All the way to the bank. Keep talking like that, sir. And all you other idiots who think that we have 20 trillion in debt. Bye-bye. I can't wait to take your money, zombies. I cannot wait to take your money. I cannot. Call your congressman. Call your senator. Call Hillary Clinton. Tell them to eliminate the debt, because I cannot wait to take your money. Bye.